A Super Bowl champion.
The Green Bay Packers have won the Super Bowl.
The Packers' all-time leading scorer.
A game winner for Mason Crosby.
It's time for the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nellis, presented by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee, on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook and on the free Odyssey app.
It is the Mason Crosby Show, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers, presented by Verizon, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM The Fan studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Tommy Wortz in for Mitch Thunder Nellis. Behind the glass, Tommy Wortz as well, actually, but in front of the glass on top of it. But you didn't come for me. You come for the Packers' all-time leading scorer, the kicker, Mason Crosby. How we doing today, Mace?
What's up, Tommy? Yeah, we're going to be holding it down, for the, next week or so. As Mitch is crushing it over at the fair. I texted him this morning, just making sure he's fasting, getting ready for all that food that he's going to consume over there.
We should get him in touch with Joey Chestnut this week.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Mitch did a hot dog eating contest over there. Like I said, the funnel cake's my favorite, so maybe I can get him to see how many funnel cakes he can eat in a day. That would be pretty epic.
Yeah, Thunder at the Fair starting today, right after the Mason Crosby Show. Mitch Nellis has Peter Bukowski on of Locked On Packers podcast this afternoon at 12:40. Thunder at the Fair starts at 11. It's Thunder at the Fair on the Fan. So we're going to have all local programming, Mason, from 8 to 5 every day while the fair's going on.
Jump on. Go to the fair. Go check it out. Just listen to the Fan all day, every day for the next, 10 days? Infinity. Like for the rest of life.
For the rest of life.
And I woke up really early this morning. We were talking about this before we came on, to take Nolan to his last really early morning football practice. And I thought I'd come home, get a little rest, but I did not. I just kind of kept crushing the day. I was ready to roll. But then I did realize I was a little sad. Before we dive into, I was sad about the Brewers, and we're going to dive into that here in a sec. But I was also just thinking, man, tomorrow's Friday. We're going to have the On the Green segment. It's like we had the Open Championship, here, recently. Now we're going into week 2 without Scotty Scheffler playing in the golf tournament.
Yeah, it stinks, man.
I'm like, is golf even a thing anymore? I don't even know if it exists. I turned on the Women's Open Championship, and I'm like, okay, no, Scotty's not playing. I'm not even sure I'm going to watch.
I saw the Ryder Cup weekend. Some people are already calling it weekend of the year because I believe there's Georgia-Alabama that weekend and Packers-Cowboys or something like that on top of it. It's going to be an awesome weekend to watch. And obviously, they're finalizing things up. You seen Happy Gilmore 2 yet?
Dude, I've tried to watch it 3 times, and I've seen the first 20 minutes and the last 20 minutes. Yeah. I get distracted. It's I didn't fall asleep at all. It was more I just got kind of pulled away, and I was trying to do it in the weekend, and you know how crazy last weekend was. Sure. There in Wisconsin. So I was trying. Nolan would sit down, and the second half, that last 20 minutes I saw after a few cocktails, and I was like, what is going on right now? Yes. But I did see the Scotty Scheffler part. Where he knocks him out and just puts his hands behind his back. Yeah, he's like, not again.
If you need a Scotty fix, Happy Gilmore 2, right? That's what we can go with. It is the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. We're going to get to Packers talk for sure a lot today. In the next segment, we'll play some sound from Jeff Hafley and from Adam Stenovich speaking yesterday. Jason Hirschhorn, co-founder of The Leap, is going to join us at 9:40. But the Milwaukee Brewers pretty much seems like they always lead our show now here. And we're going to have Drew Wagner on of Forbes Sports to talk about it at 10 o'clock, too, at the top of the next hour. They fall yesterday to the Chicago Cubs. But it kind of felt like, Mace, you needed a game to get punched back in the face. Yeah. Realize that you are not Superman, that things are going to happen at times. And the Cubs are a pretty damn good team at that, too.
Yeah, they're not bad. They finally got their bats rolling a little bit. It was, what were they down? They were down 5-0.
I think it was 5-1 early on in the game.
Yeah,
yes,
5-1 through 3. And then they I was like, oh man, comebacks, coming on. Whenever they scored one in the 4th, one in the 5th, I'm like, all right, 5-3, this is it. And so, but then Cubs just rallied, in there in the 6th inning, got 3 runs, added 2 more in the 9th, just kind of trash time. This is kind of, though, what I was saying. I was like, gosh, I did not want to see, like a 10-3 or, a 10-2 type of game. But at the same time, sometimes those are easier to move on from than like those scrappers where you're like, gosh, we gave a lot away. We had chances to win. I know in games, I think every NFC championship we lost, or like every playoff game I feel like we lost, was like a heartbreaker. Mm-hmm. Game-winning field goal, something like a mistake or something that happened.
Except for Atlanta, right? That year, that was
Atlanta,
a rough
we
one.
tried to come back.
Yeah.
I think what I hit like 2 or 3 onside kicks trying to come back in that thing.
Desperation at that
Desperation,
point.
yeah. So maybe that one's the only one, but the rest, and sometimes those are easier to move on from. You're like, gosh, like you lick your wounds and you just say like, we got thumped. We just didn't have it that day. Let's move on. So I think if we can look at it from that perspective with this Brewers team, we can spin a little positive. I always hate it. I hate it for like Peralta, that he doesn't get that, doesn't get the win. Like the guy's just been so solid. But I think this team's going to be just fine. I think they're going to look at this and say, they still had 7 hits, just kind of, plotted around. But I think the Chicago Cubs are a very good team, and the fact that they won this series, and we'll talk to Drew Wagner about it. And he's always so positive. So
yes.
We'll just make sure that. But he has been lately. Honestly, he's been so positive about this team because they just plod along and they find ways to get it done, and they're doing those little things where they're not getting ahead of themselves. So a game like this will just be one of those that you release, you move on, and you move on to the next one.
Well, and another positive spin, William Contreras yesterday.
Fly ball to left. Does it have enough? It is up and gone. We're tied. 7th home run of the year for William Contreras.
If you can get Contreras rolling again, that was only the first one. He also had another one.
Who's William? Is that Bill?
Sorry, Bill Contreras in the second homer of the day for Bill.
Imanaga's 0-1. Line to right. That's got some legs. Back Tucker. He's got another one. Baby Bull has awakened.
Bill from now on. I'm sorry, I won't make that mistake anymore. When he's professional, he is Bill. It is Bill Contreras. But to get him back into maybe a groove during this stretch, I'm fearful that might have been
serious.
Like the Bill Contreras game now on that, right? Where it's like now it's never anything from that moment on, and the Brewers waste that performance out of him because he has been struggling this year, and he's had the injury that he's been playing with the entire year. But the Brewers, they get the day off now. They didn't have Churio in the game yesterday after he comes up limp on the triple 2 nights ago.
They get a day, yeah.
And now you also have the trade deadline looming here as well. And, Nicolay Law fan talking text line 414-677-1250, the number to join the show if you would like. Last minute wish list for the Milwaukee Brewers during this trade deadline here. I think it ends at 5 o'clock today, somewhere around there, if I remember correctly. So Sparky will be covering it, his entire show. He'll be at the fair today as well for Wisconsin Sports Daily. Make sure you guys tune in. Go say hi over there, too. But some deals getting done yesterday, Mason.
Well, you saw, yeah. And Suarez, Gonzo.
I'm going to tell you right now, I was leading the anti-Suarez trade, fan base, it felt like here. If the Brewers could have gave up what the Mariners gave up, they should have made that deal. It looked like the reliever price was crazy yesterday, Mason. Yeah. The Phillies brought in Duran, and I think they ended up giving up their number 4 and their number 6 prospect in their organization. Like, that's a high ask for a reliever. And then Suarez went for 2 pitching prospects that are in their 20 to 10 range, and their number 9 prospect. It wasn't anything too crazy.
Nothing crazy.
I thought the deal would have been actually very favorable if the Brewers could have made something like that happen.
But again, we've been saying it for a while now that I just don't think they're not looking for that splash move at this time, this season. Like it doesn't fit. They don't want a Band-Aid. They don't want anything. They don't need to patch something up right now. They just need to add some depth. They need to add some pieces even if they feel that way. But I do feel like what they're doing too in Nashville with their their minor leagues, like I think they still feel like they have some good prospects that if they need to go grab somebody and bring them up, they feel decent about that as well. So I don't think it's they just don't feel like they have urgency to go and chase something because they have a squad right now that is resilient, that is good, that is solid. But Arizona Diamondbacks, on the other hand, they're a dumpster fire. Yeah. I mean, they're just moving everybody. I see they're gonna get rid of the 2 starting pitchers as well.
They're trying at least. There's been some deals.
Gallen,
there's some rumor.
and Kelly.
Yep, Gallen and Kelly looking around. Looks like Blue Jays involved in Shane Bieber talks right now. Steven Matz getting moved from the Cardinals yesterday. Ryan Helsley as well gone from the Cardinals. So Cardinals in a total fire sale. Cubs picked up Andrew Kittredge yesterday from the Orioles. And right now, there's a couple other names that may be high profile. We could possibly see like a Dylan Cease on the move. Carlos Correa has been in some talks. But as of right now, the biggest move, probably Eugenio Suarez. He has the most homers ever, Mason, actually traded at the deadline.
That's crazy.
Last time they've seen anyone with 30 or more homers get traded at the deadline, it also involved the Diamondbacks, but it was them trading for Adam Dunn back in 2008.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
But definitely should be a busy day on the trade market for a lot of teams today. But I agree with you, Mason. I don't know if the Brewers are going to be involved in anything, but they'll have some, they have added players through trade this year.
Yeah, and so what do you think? I mean, again, I'm assuming Churio's thing's not a big deal. Feel like the outfielder kind of depth is pretty set, or is that something that you want to you would maybe dabble in a little bit? Because you look at the Padres are looking to go after the Guardians outfielder Stephen Kwan, or Red Sox Jaron Duran. Blue Jays already signed Justin Bieber, so from the Guardians.
Bieber.
That's over. Gosh, if I knew he was available, I would have been pitching for that this whole time.
Shane
that would have
Bieber,
been it.
yes, Shane Bieber.
Thank you. I know. I just love how they put it on this. Blue Jays bring in Bieber.
Yeah.
It's what they were doing. They were trying to catch a non-baseball person to click on it.
Yes, absolutely. And, it is the Mason Crosby show. Tommy Wortz in for Mitch Thunder Nellis today talking Brewers right now. And I think the Stephen Kwan deal would be interesting. It would also have to depend on, Isaac Collins' versatility, I think, because he came up as an infielder. And I think that would be something interesting if Kwan comes into left and you can move Collins to second and Turang to short or something there. But I don't know how willing they are to do something along those lines, especially depending on the price tag now, too. But I think that this Brewers team saw the Suarez deal as changing the identity, right? And, Kwan is a guy who can kind of play into the identity of the Brewers. They play elite defense, and they're going to run around the bases. And that's kind of Kwan's game, too. He's not a power bat that they bring in to try to hit home runs. I did have some stats for Sparky's show yesterday. I just hung around and hung out on that show for a little bit. No team has won the World Series, in exception to the 2020 COVID season, Mason, without hitting 200 home runs in a season since 2016. And that was the year the Cubs won the World Series, which they hit 199 home runs that year. So 200 homers is kind of been a threshold in the recent history of winning a World Series. And the Brewers right now currently on pace for around 152. That's not
crazy.
Near the number, really.
Yeah.
So that was one that popped out to me.
That's why it is. I mean, it's so that's a real stat. You got to get some more homers. And you kind of saw it, right? They're fine. They're getting hits. They played great defense and were able to, find some runs in those first 2 games against the Cubs. But, and then yesterday, they found some homers in this series.
Yeah.
They're finding those a little bit, but it's just not, they don't have 3 or 4 guys that are going to, are a threat to hit a homer, on a day in, day out basis, right?
For sure, yeah. And I asked Andy Herman right at the back end of his show, I'll ask you again, Now, here's where the real test comes in. Who's going to hit more homers for their new team? Andrew Vaughn with the Brewers, Eugenio Suarez with the Mariners. Now, I know the names are not the same level of flash by any means, but
Vaughn's
got a 5-homer head start. Even if you want to start from yesterday when the trade was down and it happened, if Andrew Vaughn, puts up more production than Suarez does, right, then it's worth it. They made the Vaughn deal earlier in the year. And again, to say that they didn't make trades, they wouldn't have Quinn Priester on this team if they didn't make trades. So I understand that everyone wants a deal to be done on the last day or the days before August, and that's exciting. But the Brewers have been actively trading throughout the season and have brought in some really key pieces that way too.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes there in Wisconsin sports we get a little lulled to sleep because sometimes those trades aren't these splash, these big moves.
Sure.
But it's just adding pieces, adding like longevity, adding something that fits in that building. And like I will say collectively in the state of Wisconsin, like our clubs do that the best. Like, the Bucks are probably the most willing to do something a little crazier,
right,
go out there and try to, chase something. But traditionally they're doing it though from a space of we like this guy, he's going to fit into this culture in this building, and they're going to do it a certain way. It's not just all right, this guy adds this exact thing we need. So we're going to go and do whatever it takes to get that person.
Who was, in your opinion, whether you want to go from production or culture standpoint, maybe the most impactful trade during your time in Green Bay? That's someone you thought wow, they came in the middle of camp or in the middle of the season or just wasn't there from day one during a season, but they came in, they fit the culture, and they were a productive player for us and really was a great addition.
I'm trying to think of I
don't even remember a lot of
kind
these.
of big trade. Yeah, I'm not even nothing's really ringing a bell. I mean, we had some signings that I would say, it's whenever you brought in, a Julius Peppers.
Yeah, right.
Stuff like that where it's just big name guys. And obviously he was towards the end of his career, but still had some, three or four amazing years left in him. But as far as trades go, Packers just did not do that. They made some, they nibble at the edges. They'd find a piece that would maybe be a backup role or a special teams guy. Are you searching it? Are you finding any?
I'm looking. Was Rasul in the middle of a season? Was that a trade that happened? I don't think so. That was the other way. The Packers traded him to Buffalo in the middle of the year, right?
Exactly. They traded him out.
Yeah. And
I
then
just don't feel like that's the way they move. I mean, there might have been the one trade that was most impactful for me was when they traded. They traded for Corey Bojorquez.
Oh yes,
Bojo, and let J.K. Scott go. So we had some moves there, and I can't remember. I don't think they traded for Derek Frost and when they released John Ryan after my first year. But it felt like those, obviously for my stuff, those were the most impactful.
Yeah, there's not a lot of buy.
And I sent you an article that we'll probably touch on later in the show on that aspect because they hit on that, the importance of having that cohesiveness. And I speak on that all the time because it affected me directly every day of my job, was having a long snapper and a holder that you could trust completely, that you worked with every day, and that you knew you could go out there and they were going to give their best stuff all the time. And when you don't have that, it doesn't matter too. There were guys that had talent. They could snap and they could do all the stuff, but could they do it all the time consistently and in those moments when you needed it the most? And that is always my biggest concern about bringing new bodies into a building, is just that they might look good on paper, they have stats, they have all these things, but does it work whenever they move to another spot?
Well, and maybe now you can, just by going back through it, a guy who wasn't there at the day one of training camp, who was maybe one of the more impactful trades in Packers' recent memory, go back to last year, right? Malik Willis. I mean, it seems like that's the one that jumps off the page right now. Yeah. So it's not something they traditionally do. The Brewers have done it in the past. It hasn't been very recent, but they make some moves that are mid-season moves. and nothing really stands out. I mean, Andrew Vaughn has stood out right now. It just didn't happen in the timetable that people were expecting. I don't anticipate the Brewers being very active today, but we'll see. We'll see. Trade deadline coming up around 5 o'clock today. Tune in Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. He'll be at the fair today. Sparky will keep you updated this afternoon, and he'll be joined by FanDuel Sports Network Brewers analyst Tim Dillard at 3:20. Wisconsin Sports Daily served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin State Fair this afternoon, starting at 2 o'clock and here on The Fan. Plus, we're on YouTube. Don't forget YouTube now, Mace, right? YouTube.com/@TheFanMilwaukee. You can see us. Right. It's a great time.
Check us out.
Comment in the chat if you want there, as well as the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line 414-677-1250. Well, Brewers are off today. Packers are back, Mason, back at training camp. We have some stuff from yesterday when the coordinators spoke. I think there's going to be some great topic of conversation there. What side of the ball are you expecting to see a bigger jump from, the offense or the defense, after hearing what Adam Stenavich and Jeff Hafley spoke about yesterday? It's the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM The Fan studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Yeah, we are.
Welcome back. What was that?
Why are you laughing? Did you play the song for me or something?
I didn't play it for you, but like just the off-screen conversation, like I'm a weirdo being the first line you're hearing it was comical, I thought. It's the Mason Crosby Show, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 up in the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, presented by Verizon, official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. Tommy Wortz in for Mitch Thunder Nellis. Mason Crosby here, as usual, on his own show. Maybe not quite as usual, but he's here.
I've been doing. I've been on a decent run here. Yeah, kind of making some appearances.
A couple of attempts.
And what Tommy's laughing about is there's a blue jay, a little baby blue jay outside my window, just stressing out. I'm like, we're making a list of all the things I'm into now that I'm retired, and just add bird watching to the list and cares. I just care about nature and the birds.
Just caring more.
I care a lot more.
Like that just seems. Yeah. It's like basic human decency, just to care. And you're like,
I've chosen that in retirement. I'm going to care more.
In retirement, I'll just start caring.
Exactly.
It's Mason Crosby's show. Tommy Wortz in for Mitch Thunder Nellis, and Packers training camp was off yesterday. They are back in today. Andy Herman going to be down there covering a lot of the action for us here at the Fan. You'll hear him ask questions, I'm sure, throughout the day whenever they're going through there, and he's tweeting live, pretty much play-by-play over it. Do you ever remember Andy coming to training camp when you were there?
I'm sure I saw him.
Okay.
Maybe pushed him a couple times, but. Yeah, I don't think we had much interaction that I can remember. I'll probably makes him sad. We probably had like some in-depth conversation, but remember, I didn't care then.
You didn't care.
I care now.
You didn't care until you were retired.
I didn't care.
Yeah,
I wasn't retired. I didn't care about
full
anything.
Circle of Mason not caring. Proof right there.
So, Andy, if we ever had like a really good conversation, I apologize.
Well, we had some sound yesterday from offensive coordinator Adam Stenovich, defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley speaking yesterday to the media, and it got us thinking, like, what side of the ball are you expecting a bigger jump from this year from the Green Bay Packers, the offense or the defense? And I think logically you go to the offensive side because of what they invested in this offseason on the offensive side, right? They brought in Aaron Banks to shore up the offensive line. They got new toys for Jordan Love on the outside with wide receivers in round 1 and round 3. But Jeff Hafley, when you hear him talk, it just makes me think these guys want to run through a brick wall for this guy right now.
For sure.
He has been really, I thought he stole the show yesterday, talking about what he thinks, about the Packers defense coming into 2025. And I wanted to play this a little bit for you here, Mace. This is Jeff Hafley, just thinking of the different ways that he's going to be on the field and how they're going to approach the defense on the field in 2025.
Last year during this time, we were totally figuring out who we were going to be. And we're going to be a 4-down front. We're going to play a lot of over defense with a 9 technique. We're going to play a lot of middle close coverage. What were we going to do? And then we evolved when we figured out who we had, what we were good at, who we were playing, and we kind of built it as we went, right? And as I looked back into, because you go back when you get in the training camp and you figure, all right, these are the install days, these are the practices that Matt has set up, and this is how we're going to do our install. Well, our install, like from last year to this year, you would think we have a new defensive coordinator from what we put in last year this time to what we ended the year. So the beauty of it right now is we have a strong foundation, and that install is almost done after 6 practices.
Wow.
So now it's the tweaking. Now it's getting better. Now it's evolving as we see, I like this pressure, but hey, anyone else think we can do this and this off of it? So now we can kind of build. And what we can do is we have a bigger inventory. The guys know the inventory, and this will allow us to say, all right, going into the first however many games, we like this. Let's hold off on this, but have this ready down the road. You understand what I'm saying? Because I don't think, even though we kind of believe we have a good foundation of where we are schematically, I still think we're going to need to evolve as we go because people are going to figure us out. Things are going to change around the league of what offenses are trying to do. And we're a different team this year, so we're going to have to continue to evolve. But where we are at the start compared to where we were last year is totally different, and I'm excited to see where we can go with this.
So Mason, when I heard that again, I was like, "Wow, this guy's a genius. He's gonna be a head coach eventually,
ready for ball."
But I also thought, like, it almost seems like you can't have that mindset unless you are a coordinator, right? And it was something that you were bringing up when it was like, you make that jump to head coach, and now you're a little more corporate, right? And you are,
for sure.
You have a lot more. You're a little bit not disconnected, but you're less connected to players on a regular basis. It feels like. Yep. And Jeff Hafley, he's talking about what him and Matt LaFleur talk about, and then he can tell his guys from there. It seems like, and we talked about this too, the defense is way ahead of the offense right now as far as training camp has started. But I just wanted to hear your reactions after hearing that from Jeff Hafley, because it feels like that's a conversation, or a comment rather, that you wouldn't get from a head coach in the NFL today.
Yeah, a little more candid, like just giving like a little more in depth into his mindset of how he coaches, which, again, I've said this many times. He's the type of coach that I love, a coach that is willing to adjust and adapt and not just say, like, this is how I run a defense, either fit in or get out, type of deal. So, and how much they learned through last season alone, and how they improved. Whenever it's like, all right, we can't get to we're not getting effective pass rush with 4. So we'll bring it with, we'll get creative with our rushes and how we build the coverage out behind it. And then as now it's into year 2, and with the the personnel that he has at his disposal, he can say, all right, we're going to be more structured in this, and now we can do some of these more creative things. I love the chess match too, of throwing that out there just to the press, of saying, hey, like, you'd think we have a different defensive coordinator. So now every team is like, all right, what are they going to throw at us? And I love that speak as well, because Ben Johnson's there at Chicago. If he listened to that and he's like, all right, I got to get real creative. I got to do something wild, because they're gonna be doing some different things, and we need to give them looks that might throw a wrench in what they're trying to accomplish on defense. And as soon, from in my experience, whenever a coach tries to reinvent the wheel or tries to do something over the top creative early on, especially, it's not good. It doesn't always work out for him. I mean, I saw the Bears trying a double pass in practice, and all
the
that
fake
stuff.
Fair catch, right?
Yeah, I mean, they always have to do something wild, to try to get the win. And so I was always grateful and thankful to be on Packers squads where we weren't trying to always hoodwink everybody to go out there and get the W. But I love what Hafley's about. He seems to really have a pulse of what his players can do on his defensive side of the ball, and he just seems to want to put them in a really good position to be successful. Just cut them loose. I heard Andy saying, he thinks he's going to be a head coach candidate, starting after this season, which by all means he probably could be, but we've seen that as well, and like we talk about that, like Ben Johnson wise for maybe waiting an extra year or so, get like one more rhythm in that coordinator, maybe learn how to be a head coach while you're coordinating, and then move into those spaces. So I hope if Hafley does choose to leave, he is ready to roll and moving in that direction. But thankful that he's our defensive coordinator for this Green Bay Packers team this year.
It's the Mason Crosby Show. Tommy Wortz in for Mitch Nellis. We're live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 up in the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. You brought up personnel as well, and Bo Melton has been obviously a talk of the town on his switch towards the defensive side after being on offense for his first part of his career in the NFL. Jeff Hafley speaking on Bo Melton.
So I just wanted to make sure everybody understands that this is going to be a process with Bo. And I said to Bo, look, man, you might get spun around in the first 2 practices. You might line up, and it's going to be different for you, but I don't want you to get frustrated. We're not going to get frustrated with you. We understand this is going to take time, but we believe in it.
Love that.
And we believe in him, and we believe he can do it. And again, that's our job as coaches, is to develop players, right? Whether it's a young player or a new player to play a different position. And I think DA's done a really good job. But I credit Bo. I don't think there are many guys in this league who are just going to be, hey, what do you think about doing this? And, yeah, I'll do it, whatever's best for the team. How many guys nowadays are going to do that? I don't think there's many of them. So chances are the guy's going to succeed. And I believe in him, and I'm excited to see where this can go. But at the same time, I think everybody's got to kind of just, all right, let's slow down. Everything's not going to look perfect. But I was fired up. I love the guy. You win with guys like Bo.
You win with guys like Bo, right there. Tell me you coached college football without telling me you coached college football right there.
That's a culture guy right there.
Absolutely.
Which I love it.
Yeah. It sounds like they are all patient on Bo Melton and almost like assuring that they're going to try out this experiment no matter what this season.
For sure. I mean, and again, like you can't say like I think the initial thought is like give me 53 Bo Meltons, that are going to be that. But like the NFL doesn't work that way. You probably need 10 Bo Melton type of guys, on your team any given year to have success. Guys that are willing to give of themselves in so many different ways, that are going to be team first guys, that are going to change and play different positions if asked to. The irony there is that like the part that people don't see on a yearly basis during the season is that Bo Melton, like it is going to be tough, but he's played DB against professional wide receivers before on scout team. Like those guys on scout team, they're asked to do so many things. So receivers have to play defensive backs, tight ends have to play linebackers sometimes. Like those are good cross training things for young players. The scout team can't be taken lightly on what experience you can get from being a guy. So encourage those young guys that whether you're a starter or you're a practice squad guy, like take advantage of those reps when you get them, because you might make some plays that somebody, it draws their attention and they're like, all right, we see a future for you here. So I love what Halfley had to say about it. Honestly, just from hearing him talk, and it's early in camp, like it's like Bo Melton's going to more than likely be on this team because he switched to corner, and he's going to play a role on this team this upcoming season.
Want to get to some Adam Stenavich here too, and Mason, I don't know if this has ever been a vibe at Packers training camp so heavily focused on the offensive line, but it took like 10 minutes to get a question about Jordan Love during this presser. Exactly. It was everything you could hear about the offensive line.
O-line.
Right.
So, I mean, that's where he lives and breathes.
You would like to think Malik Willis got a question before Jordan Love did yesterday.
That's what they're doing up there, though. I do believe, coming off of the Aaron Rodgers era, it's like Jordan has this little buffer and protection where it is like questions, the focus is on so much more than Jordan Love. And I do think that's a place where he can succeed. And I think they did a good job with that with Aaron early on in his tenure as the starter. Was until we won the Super Bowl, Aaron didn't make that kind of shift, right? And to being like the guy, and he was like elevated above all else. So I think it's kind of a process that they do where it's like, all right, Jordan Love's going to run and lead this team, but we're going to deflect around him and draw attention to other places.
Real quick here, this is Adam Stenavich on Jordan Morgan early in camp.
I like what I'm seeing from Jordan, and he's competing, at the tackle spot and at the guard spot, and he's looking pretty solid. So we're going to have a lot of interesting choices up front, not only with him but with a bunch of guys. Because they're all competing really hard and doing a good job. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see how this all shakes out for sure. Interesting?
Is that a word you want to hear when you are in a position battle, Mason?
I mean, yeah. Interesting that's a fascinating word, right? Especially whenever it's, you're talking about somebody trying to find their fit. It's a Jordan Morgan. They want him on the field. They want to find a fit for him, but it just doesn't seem like he's finding his fit in that starting lineup right now. So, but again, depth and guys get hurt
and versatility, right?
So he needs to just keep his head down, just keep working hard. And I do think, if you listen to these coordinators, they are those types of coaches where they are just going to put guys in positions to be successful. They're going to keep demanding to compete and do great things and reassuring their guys that it's like, you might not be the starter this minute, but we're going to keep developing you and get you to where you need to be. And as long as a guy keeps that perspective, has that mentality, they will be all right. But that can break guys too, right? If you have been a stud, you've been the guy, and you're not getting your opportunity, it takes a special athlete and a special person, and those are the guys that make it in the NFL. Are guys that just say like, regardless of my situation, I'm going to keep working and doing what I know is best because I know my time will come.
I've realized after yesterday, this is the first time I can admit this, I don't have the patience for the NFL. That's what it sounds like, whether it's on the coaching side or the playing side. I don't have the patience. It's
you'd be changing your roster every day.
My gosh.
It'd be like, all right, starting lineup's different today because I just didn't like how you did that yesterday.
We're throwing El Gersma out there this week against the Bears.
We're not developing anyone. This is crazy.
Exactly.
You better be ready to roll, and you better do it right every time.
I am retiring from NFL aspirations today. There we go.
This is the moment.
You.
All right, man. I thought you had a chance. I was going to be the GM. You were going to be my first hire.
We got to get to Jason Hirschhorn, co-founder of The Leap. He's going to join the show. He's been covering some Packers training camp as well. He'll join us on the other side. It is the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM The Fan studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back to the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. Good start to the Thursday here, Mace, I think, right?
Yeah, feeling good. Got a lot of juice. Again, Surprising since I've been up since I got up so early, but feeling really good. I told you I'm biohacking, so
biohacking. Yeah, big amino acid guy now. Mason Crosby. Mason Crosby. Well, joining us now, co-founder of The Leap. It is the man with the most H's in his last name of all time, Jason Hirschhorn, co-founder of The Leap. Follow him on Twitter at @by_JBH. I've had him on the Pack a Day radio show. Been able to talk with him a couple of times. Jason, how we doing today, my friend?
Surprised they didn't call me Triple H.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, we like nicknames on this show.
Every time I see your name popping up on Andy's guest list, I'm like, wow, has anyone ever had back-to-back H's in their name? Jason Hirschhorn, you did it. You nailed it. All over it, man.
This was the career accomplishment, and we got it done at birth. So it's been all downhill from there.
That's right. That's right. You're just born into it. You're just living the dream. Jason, appreciate you jumping on, and just want to dive right in. We played some sound from the coordinators that spoke yesterday. I'm sure. Have you been out to camp? Have you been at practices watching? Kind of what's your take? Because we posed this question out to our listeners as well. Who do you think is going to make the bigger jump, the offense or defense this year? And what are you seeing there from camp?
I think the answer is the defense if that pass rush makes the improvements that coaching staff clearly believes that it can. If you listen to that Jeff Hafley presser, I know you played some of the sound from it, you'll notice that he mentioned the defensive line coaching when he was talking about both Lucas Van Ness and Brenton Cox. I don't think that's a coincidence. They did not make like the big veteran addition to that group this offseason that I think a lot of people thought was on the table for them. But they did change out that defensive line coach. And now you have what they seem to believe is more alignment in what they want that group to do. And they think that's going to guide that improvement. They talk about Lucas Van Ness really coming to his own in terms of professional in year 3. They talked about Brenton Cox with, Demarius Covington, the new defensive line coach, really making strides as well. Now, there's only been a few days of padded practice. There's not a lot we can say definitively at this stage from an on-field standpoint. But the team has seen these guys behind the scenes far more than those of us on the outside have. If they're talking about that improvement and mentioning the coaching, I think that gives a strong hint as to what they think is happening there.
Yeah, I like that. I think Hafley talked about just how it might look like a completely new defensive coordinator out there at times, just with what he's learned about his personnel, what he's learned about like the strengths of his players. We kind of talked a little bit about the interesting idea of like Van Ness even moving inside a little bit, because I do believe like Kenny Clark with like a Dean Lowry and some of these long rangy guys that might be able to take up and they have quickness and speed, like that might be what helps Kenny Clark to do his work and be a little more effective inside, because you look at like Aaron Donald, it was the same thing. He always had a huge guy, like a tall rangy guy next to him, so he could go and do his work on the inside and be impactful. So I wouldn't be surprised if Hafley's moving guys on that defensive front just to try to get more pressure with that front four. Is that something that you think might be happening, or you're seeing on that defensive front as well?
It's certainly something that they're practicing, and if you go into the backgrounds of some of these players, it's a thing that they've done in the past. Lucas Van Ness played a lot inside early at his time at Iowa. So it's something that's in his background to some degree. And to some degree, it also makes sense from like a body standpoint. Like, he is a large defensive end, not like so large that it's like abnormal, but he's someone who's big enough that if you were to slide him inside, especially to like that 3-tech position, when they're in obvious passing situations, you could see him holding up pretty well. Now, the pass rush has to come with it. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it. But they clearly believe that with some of the improvements he's made, and keep in mind, he's also healthy now, right? Like this time last year, he was battling some hand injuries. And for a defensive lineman, that's not insignificant. So with health, with what they think is better instruction at that position, and maybe some more versatility in terms of what he and some of those other defensive linemen are going to do. I mean, Kenny Clark can move around a lot more than he did last year too. Maybe not be as much of a 3 or 5 tech, maybe spending more time playing that nose tackle position that he thrived in earlier in his career. When they have all of those options, and versatility we know is such a big part of everything that they do in the trenches, you could see the results being a lot better. I mean, this wasn't the pass rush that was like the worst in the league in 2024, but it went from 6th in pressure rate in 2023 to 20th in 2024. They obviously want to reverse that, and they feel like with some of the individual improvements, they can get there.
I like that. Yeah, we got Jason Hirschhorn, co-founder of The Leap at @by_JBH, if you want to find him on Twitter. He's joining us talking about Packers. So let's switch to the other side of the ball in that offensive line. Obviously, have a few positions really secured and set. But we were talking about Jordan Morgan a little bit, and what the hope is to get him on the field more, see if he can't fit into that starting offensive line. But as of right now, early in camp, what is your front five, and what's it looking like there on that offensive side of the ball?
I truthfully have no idea, and I don't think that the Packers know either. I'm going to read this line from Adam Stanovich's press conference. We might have 6 or 7 guys playing in a game consistently in reference to the offensive line. Now, they have rotated guys before, but it's usually one spot that they're rotating, by drive. So, really 6 guys tops. This is implying that they might be rotating at left tackle and maybe right guard. And when one of the players that's competing at both those spots is Jordan Morgan, does that mean he's going to spend one drive at one spot and then moving over to another? I don't know that we're there yet. I mean, Adam Stenovich can certainly say something now and backtrack from it later, but they're continuing to act as though those are 2 active position battles. And that might be true. It is also the case that we have not really seen a lot of Jordan Morgan at left tackle so far in training camp. There's reasons for that. Elton Jenkins is only just now getting into teamwork in training camp. Aaron Banks has missed some time with a back situation. If those 2, Banks and Jenkins, are able to get on the field and stay on the field, then maybe we will start seeing a lot more of Morgan at left tackle. But we have to get to that point first before we can seriously consider him a contender there, despite what the coaching staff is saying. If Morgan is still going to basically take the vast majority of his reps at guard, whether that's left or right, because he's backfilling for Banks or because he's actually competing with Sean Ryan, then I think we have to accept that he might just be competing for the right guard spot. And maybe that ends up being the platoon they take into the season. But if, let's say, today or later in the week, because I don't have a ton of time to get this right, Banks is back in teamwork in practice, and then Morgan is really able to take meaningful reps at left tackle with the number 1 offense, not just with the number 2 offense later on, with the number 1 offense, where they can really evaluate him relative to Rasheed Walker. That's when I think that race becomes real. Until that point, I think it's fair to approach with some skepticism, because Rasheed Walker is still a very competent player. He has played well in his 2 years as in one case, the de facto starter, and the next year as the entrenched starter. So, Brian Gutekunst said that it's going to take something significant to move him off that spot. And until Morgan is even taking reps there on a regular basis, I don't think we've reached that threshold.
Man, I like that. That's a great breakdown. Jason Hirschhorn, co-founder of The Leap. I'm thinking about Jordan Morgan, and I think about just traditionally what the Packers try to do. Rasheed Walker, if he gets entrenched and has another great year at left tackle, I mean, that's left tackle money that comes with that, right? And you have a guy like Jordan Morgan kind of waiting in the wings, trying to get there. I think you drafted him to maybe be that left tackle at some point. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him trying to fit in there at left tackle more often than not, just so that it's, they've done it before. You just try to maybe devalue that left tackle position a little bit, so you don't have to go and pay the guy that has just been a stalwart there and done a great job. Because if you end up having to pay Rasheed Walker, or you want to keep him around, that might be one of the most expensive offensive lines you see in the game of football right now.
Yeah, and at what point, Jason, do they have to just at least know what they have, right? I mean, you're going into year 3 now of Morgan. You're going to have to make a decision about the 5th-year option after this season, right? And we played the sound from Stenovich and from Hafley, and patience was obviously a huge part of the coordinators. But how much patience can you have on Jordan Morgan during this stretch too?
There's a lot of variables here, and we haven't even mentioned Anthony Belton, the 2nd-round pick, who is also repping at tackle. And I think the situation in some ways on paper is reminiscent of what the Packers had about a decade ago, and Mason will remember this. They had David Bakhtiari starting at left tackle for his first few years in the league. It had gone well, but at that point in time, he wasn't, all caps David Bakhtiari yet. He wasn't the regular all-pro player. He was just a solid to really good left tackle. And then the Packers spent a 2nd-round pick on Jason Spriggs. And there was discussion in that moment that perhaps this was the sign that when Bakhtiari's rookie contract was over, they were going to let him walk, move on to another player. And then, of course, Spriggs never was able to make that development, and David Bakhtiari was, and David Bakhtiari became, if not the best Packers offensive lineman of his generation in that conversation. Now, Rasheed Walker has not taken that jump yet, and I'm not trying to compare him to David Bakhtiari. I'm just saying that in terms of the way that the chessboard is set up, they have a left tackle who is solid, but to this point in time has not been spectacular, and they have just spent significant resources on guys who could potentially replace him. Well, they have to play up to that pedigree in order for them to do that, right? Like if Rasheed Walker continues to develop and either Morgan shows that he's not a left tackle or that he's not a starting caliber offensive lineman, and something similar happens with Anthony Belton, are you going to let Rasheed Walker leave when you have the ability to retain him in all likelihood? Left tackles do not grow on trees, and you have someone right now who, at worst, is a competent, reliable starter who does not miss time. So, to your point about how long can they take, in terms of this year's offensive line, I think they can take a few more weeks. Obviously, they haven't reached the preseason yet. And at some point have a version of this offensive line, even if it involves more than 5 players, that you can stick to going into the regular season. Long term, I don't think that they really know. They have Zach Tom, who's going to be a starter, I think, at tackle, but I'm not certain it's going to be long-term right tackle. There's a scenario where they can move him, obviously. They obviously just paid Aaron Banks this offseason, but there's questions with Elton Jenkins' future. Sean Ryan's going to be a free agent this upcoming offseason. Rasheed Walker is going to be a free agent this upcoming offseason. I think there's just so many moving parts that part of the reason they're approaching training camp this way is to figure out what is maybe the longer term outlook for these guys that they could potentially move into starting roles, if not this year, in 2026.
Yeah. No, that's exactly how it goes too, right? They do a great job with that, with offensive line. I could talk about O&D line all day because I just they are the anchor of these teams. Like if you don't have those positions figured out, the team will not move the way you want it to move. But, we also talked about patience and moving that, that needle forward. So let's talk about Jordan Love for a little bit, before we let you go. How has Jordan Love looked? He's coming into year 3 as the guy, as the starter. I feel like they're kind of, they protect him in a good way from media, from all the stuff. Like it's just kind of like, all right, let Jordan Love do his thing. We're gonna put all these pieces around. But how has Jordan Love looked in camp, and what are you looking for him coming into this 2025 season?
At least so far in camp, Love has looked good and consistent. Like there have been picks. By the way, that's true of basically every training camp quarterback. I don't think that's something to worry about
early in
this
camp,
moment. And I think the big difference we're seeing with Love this year than in previous years when he was the starter is he's more vocal. There seems to be more of like a gravitas to him when he is on the field. And that's to be expected, right? Like this isn't a guy who is going his first year as a starter. Isn't a guy who just got paid really for the first time. This is a guy going into a year where there are legitimate Super Bowl aspirations, and he has played well for 2 straight seasons. I know people have complaints about some of the things that happened in 2024. That's a different thing than saying that he didn't play well, especially considering all the context, right? Like the injury first to his knee, then to his groin, and then the way that offense played down the stretch. I mean, he went something like 6-7 games without turning the ball over. Like this is a quarterback that is showing time and time again that he's at least a well above average starter. And now I think you're seeing that really gravitate to the rest of that team. Like, he's also now, because of the way the Packers construct that team, one of the older players, even though he's only 26. And I think you're starting to see him fit into that. He's someone that commands not just the huddle, but the rest of that locker room when he's doing something, when he's speaking. I think that's been the big pivot in 2025. And it's something that you could see coming from the way that Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst talked about him at the end of last season. It's something that he wanted to see. And to this point, Jordan Love has answered the bell.
Yeah. I mean, this has been the progression of quarterbacks there in Green Bay, right? It's like this is year 3 as the starter. You start giving a little bit more to them, and I said that about Jordan at the end of last season. I'm like, his next step is to elevate himself into this spot where this is my team. I am the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. It goes how I go. And you said all those words. Like he's starting to step into that role a lot more here in year 3. And I'm excited for what he's going to do this year. I think he learned so much from Aaron in his time, but he's definitely more of a hybrid of Aaron and like a Brett Favre, where he's not afraid to, make some of those tougher, like kind of risky throws, where Aaron maybe was a little more risk adverse whenever he was, picking and choosing where he was throwing. So I'm excited about what Jordan Love's going to bring this year, and this is going to be a fun one. And training camp is just getting started. They put the pads on. We got another day today, so I'm really excited about that. And we'll have you on again, down the line here, Jason, because I loved your takes. I love kind of how you broke it down and what you're all about. So appreciate you.
Well, thank you for the compliment, Mason. Have a great day, guys.
Yep, thank you. Jason Hirschhorn, co-founder of The Lead. Follow him on Twitter @byjbh. He jumps off the fan guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. Got to get to Drew Wagner now, Mace. You ready to go?
Ready to roll. Yeah, we're going to shift to Brewers baseball and pick Drew's brain on how he's feeling after that series win against the Cubs. We all wish it was a sweep, but they got the win.
It's the Mason Crosby Show, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers.
What's the latest on the crew? Let's go inside the clubhouse with Drew Wagner of Forbes Sports on the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder Nellis. Brought to you by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Inside the clubhouse is brought to you by Focus Baseball, because fundamental development starts with focus. Find them at focusbaseball.com.
Welcome back to the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. We're live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM The Fan studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Just got off with Jason Hirschhorn over of The Leap. Again, if you want to follow him, that is at @by_JBH. He was great, Mace, right? I mean, he knows his stuff.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah, he
great breakdown.
Like I said, I mean, back-to-back H's in a name. He has forever put me on a higher pedestal of those people. So
well, you got to step up big whenever you have a name like that.
Triple H. Oh, I like that one. Yep. Triple H was good. Joining the show now on the Fan Guest Hotline, he is Drew Wagner. Follow him at @Andrew Wagner. Forbes Sports is where you can find his work. Even on days where I'm not supposed to talk to him, somehow our voices tend to get together. Drew, how are we doing today?
I have not been traded yet, so
that's good.
What prospects would you bring in, Drew? Is it like a writer to be named later, or how does a deal get done if it's journalism trades?
I'd probably be good for a bag of old chewed-up pencils, I think is what I would bring in these days.
Cash considerations. I got it. All right. That sounds good. Drew Wagner.
They want something fresh and new, so it might be a box of new pencils.
New pencils.
Just
not even sharpened yet.
Not sharpened yet, yeah. Well, Drew, hey, we're going to dive right into it. Let's talk about this Cubs series. Haven't talked to you in about a week, so I just let's just run it down. Obviously won the series, got the first two, lost the third. Just give us your take on what this series means and how you felt about how this crew played against the Cubs this week.
I thought they played pretty well. I thought they held their own. Obviously the first two games better than the third. It wasn't the prettiest baseball at all times. They weren't very crisp, weren't very clean, especially defensively at times, which is a little concerning.
Especially in that first game, right, when they went down 3-0?
Especially in that first game, yep. But they made up for it with powerful offense that we haven't really seen much of lately. So all in all, I think it was a very impressive series. Yeah, you'd like to get out, get the sweep done, but you end up taking 2 or 3. You stay in control of the division. I think that's pretty much the best anyone could ask for.
I totally agree. I think, and we talked about this going, just let's go to the most recent game yesterday where they lose 10-3, just kind of got away from them. They tried to claw back whenever they were, and they got it to 5-3. Do you think for a team like this, having a day off, you didn't have Churio out there, it was just kind of a weird one. Do you think it's easier to just kind of move on from a kind of a thumping like that, where it's like, all right, well, this one got away. Let's kind of move on. Let's close this shop down and let's get ready for the Nationals here in 2 days.
Yeah, absolutely. It stinks and it stings. I know Pat Murphy was a little bummed out by it. And I think they know they missed out on an opportunity too. They let that one get away from them. But you're right. They come out with a series victory. They've got an off day now. They've got to get back to work against the Nationals team that they swept a couple weeks ago. I think it's going to be pretty easy to turn the page. I mean, they know now what's at stake and what they have to do. They know now that they are the hunted. And they've got to play their A game to keep this position.
Yeah, we got Drew Wagner at Forbes Sports joining us on the Mason Crosby Show, our Brewers Clubhouse insider. I was just, as I think about this, and in sports it happens all the time, and I'd love to hear if, in baseball there with his Brewers team, if something like this, kind of happened, and it can be a good thing. You have Freddie Peralta, gets the start, and he's been just nothing but exceptional. Is there something about a team sometimes where it's like, all right, we're just gonna let Freddie do his thing, and you almost have like this little lull in that defensive side of the ball where they're just like, he's gonna get it done. We're gonna just do our thing. We'll get out of these innings, and then we'll rally late. Do you think there was any of that yesterday with this Brewers team?
don't know if it was that. I mean, for the Brewers, the pitching success is more often than not dependent on the defense. So I don't know if there's a bit of a lull there. I think it was just one of those days. You know, Freddie wasn't his A game yesterday. We saw more of what we come to expect of Freddie, the really high pitch counts, the nibbling around the zone, the walks, the short outing. And then the bullpen just couldn't hold it down. You know, every now and then that happens. I don't know what really went into it, but I guess the easiest way to say it is just one of those days that happens in baseball, and you have to go around and flush it.
Yeah, they just got behind the 8 ball and just couldn't, claw their way out, in that last game where, again, they did in that first game. Went down 3-0. As Miz just kind of, and then he got his last 10 batters out. And it just speak to, we want to talk about Miz all the time. So just speak to what that means for a young player, and then what Yelich said about him after as well. It being what he felt was his best game so far.
I mean, I agree with Yelich there. That was the most impressive start that I've seen, because we saw Mizorowski face some adversity. We saw Mizorowski bend, but he didn't break. He reached in and figured out what adjustments had to be made them, and then excelled. I think that was the best start of Mizorowski's young career. It was definitely the most impressive.
Drew Wagner joining the Mason Crosby Show. Forbes Sports, you can find his work. Follow him on Twitter @byAndrewWagner. Drew, yesterday, William Contreras also kind of finding a rhythm, and that's a guy that the Brewers have been very patient with all year, right? I mean, the bat has not been there. He's still in the high spots in the order. How big can William Contreras be down the stretch for this team if he's able to find something and click? Or do you think yesterday might have been a flash in the pan with the injury situation he's going through as well?
If William Contreras just starts getting the power back in his bat, that is a really good sign for the Brewers offense. I mean, that changes things considerably. 2 home runs in the game, you can call it a fluke, but the guy's got the power. We know he's got the power. Maybe it's just finally coming around. Maybe he's got that sweet spot of what kind of pain he can tolerate now with that finger. I don't know, but if his power's coming back, I mean, listen, he's had a really good series all in all. I think he was 5 for 9 going into the game.
Yeah.
That just bodes well for the Brewers offense.
Yeah, I totally agree, Drew. I think you get used to, injuries like that or things that are just kind of nagging, and you just find a way to adjust and then get back into, this is kind of the new normal. And it felt like, and I do have to ask a little side question. Do you call him William or do you call him Bill? Because here on the Mason Crosby Show, we call him Bill Contreras.
The Bill Contreras lines from the pitchers always just give us a good chuckle when they're like, oh yeah, Bill was calling a great game. Like, does everyone call him Bill? Are we the only ones calling him William?
I don't even notice that people call him Bill, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, I guess the pitchers call him Bill. They just say Bill calls a great game. So I just go out there and cut it loose.
So everyone's always wondering who Bill is. Well, Drew, we can't not talk about the deadline today either, right? And, Brewers, they've made some trades this year. So anyone to say that they don't make trades is wrong. I mean, Priester and Vaughn came in via trade. I know it wasn't at July 31st, so it doesn't necessarily look like a trade deadline deal.
Trades.
But they've been in trade conversations, and they've moved some other guys as well throughout the year. How active are you expecting them to be today, Drew? If they are active, what do you think you can expect from the Milwaukee Brewers if they're trying to bring someone new in today, if there are conversations?
At this point, I don't know what to expect. You look at, that they wanted to shore up their bullpen with some fresh arms. But you look at the prices being paid for pitching right now, I don't know. At this point, you wonder, do they just say, okay, you know what, we're going to use our AAA guys, Henderson, Patrick, Tobias, use those guys as relief options instead of going out and paying a heavy price to bring somebody in from the outside. I don't know what these next, whatever it is, 6 hours are going to hold, because it's been kind of weird so far, seeing some of the prices being paid for for middling at best relievers.
Yeah, and were you surprised by the Suarez haul after what we saw? Johan Duran, we were talking about earlier, the haul he brings in is 2 top 6 prospects in the organization, and then really you get 3 prospects in the Suarez deal, but I think the highest they gave up was the 9th, and then there were a couple of guys between the 20 and 10 range. Were you surprised at the haul that Suarez brought in, or maybe the lack thereof, based on what we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, everyone evaluates and rates and values prospects differently. There may be certain attributes in that package that the Diamondbacks wanted over somebody else. It's hard to say. You can look at it just transactionally and say, well, that's the number, 1, 6, and 9, and be like, well, that doesn't make any sense. The Brewers could do better than that. But sometimes teams are asking for different things from different teams, and you really don't know what that is.
Yeah, that's so good. We got Drew Wagner here at Forbes Sports, our Brewers Clubhouse insider, by Andrew Wagner on X. Let's shift some focus to this upcoming series against the Nationals. I mean, these next 6 games, are against subpar opponents. Coming off that series against Chicago, that was emotional and then fiery. How do you view this series over the weekend against the Nationals? And then obviously we'll talk to you on Monday and start previewing the Braves series there. So just dive into this National series and what we can expect from our crew.
I mean, it's just simply back to work. They're not going to go into it thinking that they've got it made because they're playing the Nationals, because they already swept them. They're not in a position to do that. They're going to go in this with the same approach that they always do, and that's just one game at a time. They're not going to go in there thinking sweep. They're not going to go in there thinking series victory until they win that first game. They got to do the same thing against the Braves. Yeah, these are teams that are having disappointing seasons, but they're still big league teams. And listen, the Brewers have lost some games that they should have won. And they've also played a few Giants that they probably should have lost to. So they know that anyone can win on any given day.
That's true. Drew, we've posed this question, and as I look at the starting pitchers for this series, I just feel bad for the Nationals, who they have to face, coming down the line. But we talked about almost packaging a Woodruff and Miz come playoff time. Like, do you ever see anything like that happening where it's like you start Woodruff, he's painting, just picking his spots, doing his thing, and then Miz comes out of the bullpen and then just throws 102-mile-an-hour gas, for a few innings. Do you think that's something that the Brewers could do, as the season unfolds here?
It's hard to do with the roster limits. Maybe in September when you can add a couple guys and then you can shade the innings a little bit. It's just so hard to do, because what happens then if one of those guys is getting rocked and you got to go early and then you're burning through your bullpen? It's really hard to do a piggyback at the big league level.
Okay. Yeah. So we were just having dreams and chasing unicorns.
Well, at some point it feels like, Drew, that they're going to beat this bullpen up all season if they keep going Woodruff, Miz back to back. No.
Yeah, they're gonna have to do something there. I mean, they're gonna have to get more length all over that rotation, starting with Freddie. We've talked about this. Your number one guy is the guy you're expecting to pitch you to a victory and give your bullpen a day. And we're not seeing that right now. It's not helping them. Now, you've got multi-inning guys in Ashby and Hall, but they're not really getting used in that way. So it's tough. I mean, it's tough to manage a bullpen when you've got guys that are starting and only going 5-6 innings every night.
Yeah, so you're saying, these pitchers need to start stretching it out a little bit, and we got to just see them get a few more. Like, how would that work, though, to try to get Woodruff and Miz not back to back? Like, do you just skip one of their rotations and throw somebody else in there?
Wait for a right off day, something? What do you do there?
Yeah, you wait for the right off day. You can give a guy an extra day of rest, maybe go with a bullpen game. That doubleheader might change some things up a little bit. We'll see.
Because they still have one with Mets, right?
The Cubs, the 5-game with the Cubs, too.
Yeah. And I think that they're going to start letting Woody go a little bit longer now. I mean, he's proven that he's healthy. He's proven that he's strong. they're just picking their moments right now.
Do you think, I mean, have you been impressed with Woodruff since he's come back? I mean, do you feel like he is just kind of fitting right back into the fold and, doing what was expected of him, or has he over-impressed? Kind of what do you feel about where he's at right now?
He's been spectacular. He looks like pre-injury Brandon Woodruff.
I love it.
I know people hate hearing this, but this is the kind of performances that you give up a boatload of prospects for this time of year, and he's was just happened to be sitting in the Brewers cupboard. He's been spectacular. I don't know if I'm surprised by it. I didn't think he'd be this dominant. I thought he'd be good, but I definitely didn't think he'd be this dominant.
Yeah, totally agree. We got Drew Wagner at Forbes Sports, by Andrew Wagner. Check out his tweets; they're hilarious. He's got some good ones. But yeah, I totally agree, and that's why I think in this today trade deadline, all of the stuff, it's just like how this season has unfolded for this Brewers team is, like you said, you get a Woodruff back, later in the season. You did go and get some pieces. I mean, Vaughn has been unbelievable. We didn't even really, talk to you about him right now just because, I guess he didn't have a home run yesterday, but he has been exceptional. What did he mean for this series against the Cubs, in your opinion? Just how unbelievable he was hitting the grand slam. He almost hit one earlier in the game, took it to the warning track. Just talk a little bit about Andrew Vaughn before we let you go.
He's been great. I mean, the Brewers have been clamoring, fans have been clamoring for the Brewers to add a bat, and they found one. You're not expecting much of the Andrew Vaughn that train has made, and now he's coming in here, and he's an integral part of this offense. I mean, he's played his way into that starting lineup. He's more than held his own. He's produced. He's playing a good first base. He's been much needed. I mean, he's provided some pop that this offense has been looking for.
And Tommy mentioned that, what was it? Was it World Series champs didn't have under 200 home runs?
Yeah,
only one
a number
team?
we looked through yesterday on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, was that there has not been a World Series champ, excluding the COVID season, that did not get to 200 home runs since 2016, and the Cubs that year hit 199 home runs during that stretch. So the Brewers on pace for a little bit over 150 right now. Doesn't look like they get to that number. Is that something that jumps off the page to you, Drew, at all?
Not really. I mean, yeah, you'd like to see more power out of that offense, but listen, they're scoring runs at a pretty good clip.
That's true.
Their offense producing at a pretty good clip. Before yesterday, I think they had the second best run differential, at least in the National League. So the offense is working. It doesn't have the pop that you want, but there are different ways to win games, and the Brewers have found one.
I love it. Just an old school mentality. You just play great defense. You'll get the bat on the ball and then run the bases like just bosses. So really appreciate it, Drew. It was good catching up. It had been too long, and we'll catch you again on Monday. Enjoy this series over the weekend against the Nationals, and can't wait to talk about a sweep come Monday morning as they head to play the Atlanta Braves.
Sounds good, guys. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. There he is. Drew Wagner jumps off the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. Make sure you follow his work at Forbes Sports. Follow him on Twitter @by Andrew Wagner. Mason, gambling, it's just a problem, it feels like now. I don't know. Maybe it's been a problem for some people in the past, obviously, but there's obviously something intersecting in pro sports and gambling right now. We've seen it with a couple of examples with players now.
Yeah.
Former player Gilbert Arenas gets caught up in some sort of mishap as well. Plus some news on why kickers might be hurting themselves by being good. Mason, did you ever think that when you were like, wow, I'm too good, I might be hurting myself later on?
Yeah, that was always a thought in my head. I mean, but I think it's just the adage and the pastime, if you will, as we were just talking baseball, of if we can't fix anything else, we'll just mess with the kickers.
Yeah,
we'll just mess with special teams. Like we want more points, but let's just change everything for the kickers and make it harder for them. Everything is geared towards offense. We know that. Everyone knows that. Quarterbacks, offense, they want points. But as they're talking about changing uprights, making it harder to make field goals, they've tried to make it so much harder for kickers over the years, and kickers just keep stepping up to the call, answering that call, and I argue that our kickers are just the best athletes in the sport.
All right, we'll end it on that.
They just answer the bell every time.
We'll talk about it next year on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM The Fan studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. It's the Mason Crosby Show. Tommy Wortz in for Mitch Thunder Nellis. Don't forget Thunder at the Fair. Things have been getting chippy at Packers training camp with players having to run laps during practice. The audacity of them, Mason.
At least practice didn't get cut short like it did at Cowboys down there in Dallas. I guess it's just a mess down there.
What are you doing? What are you doing if McCarthy's like, take a lap, Mace?
I mean, I would take a lap.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Kickers are also just the team guys on top of that.
Well, I'd be shocked because I'd be like, I wasn't even on the field. What are you doing?
Well, Thunder at the Fair begins today. Mitch Nellis will ask Peter Bukowski of Locked On Packers this afternoon at 12:40. He'll be live from the Wisconsin State Fair this morning starting at 11. It is Thunder at the Fair on the Fan. We'll talk to Mitch Thunder Nellis a little bit on the other side. We'll do some crosstalk as well after extra points. Can't wait to hear from Mitch. But yeah, I mean, Packers training camp, we've talked a lot about it. We had Jason Hirschhorn on talking about it earlier in the show. Tomorrow, we're going to have Brad Jones coming back.
Oh, yeah.
Excited to see him again. Brad, just the smartest man in the world.
That's right.
The most articulate man you've ever met. I
can't wait to hear his takes on, like, his experience at training camp versus my experience. So
yes.
It'll be good. It'll be good radio.
Well, we were talking a little bit before we broke in the last segment after we wrapped up with Drew Wagner. And I think we'll start with the kicking conversation, Mace. Okay? You sent me this article earlier this morning after we had a couple of other things here for this fifth segment of the show. And basically, in this article, it's talking about how kickers are just nasty now, and they're just so good. They've been good now for a little bit. The average, I think it said, was 84% of kicks are being made, and then it gets right next to 70% when they are 50 yards or longer.
The 50 plus is insane.
It's crazy. It's a crazy percent right now. Yeah. Kickers are better than ever, and the NFL seems to think that's a problem. Why is that a problem, Mason?
Well, yeah, they've changed the extra point, moved that back, and there's misses, but it's not like at an exorbitant rate. They've messed with the kickoff multiple times, moved it up. Oh man, too many touchbacks.
Moving it again
for
this
player
year.
Safety. So then they changed how you can cover kicks, but didn't change the yardage lines enough. So they saw more touchbacks, all the things, and so now I mean they're just always messing with the kicker, which is fine. I love in the article it says about we're not talking about how good in the passing game is and quarterbacks and making their ball heavier or different or not allowing them to break in the ball so that they can't be as good. It's just how in the world is it you want them to make every kick, you want them to be a professional, but then it's let's just keep trying to move the needle so it's harder, for them to be successful. I think it's honestly it's because it blurs the line. I talked about personnel with Andy yesterday, and it's how the personnel department doesn't they want a clear-cut evaluation. So it's if these young guys are coming in, they're missing kicks, it's easy to just say all right, let's find the next guy. But it's if everybody comes out and kicks over 85% in a season, what are you going to do? It's So I know, so Nick Novak kicked in the league for 10 or 11 years. He does kicking camps, does all that. And they're talking about, I guess at the Pro Bowl last year, they kind of did an experiment.
It was in 2015.
It was that long ago.
That's what it said.
Didn't change it.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't remember it from there. This is an article, by the way, from Eric Williams of Fox Sports that we're looking at here. But yeah, go ahead on what Nick Novak said.
Well, a lot of interesting things, and it's they're gonna move the uprights in a little bit potentially at some point to try, and then guys are just gonna adjust to that and still make kicks at a high rate. And he's eventually, what are they gonna do? Just put a pole out there, and it's you gotta hit the post. Because if you didn't realize, the expectation is not to just make the kick, it's to not have any question. You want to put that kick right down the middle every time. And I would say, 90% of the guys kicking in the league today are going to put it down the middle more often than they're going to squeeze it inside the uprights.
Yeah,
that's their job.
69.9% success rate on 50-plus yard field goals was the highest in a single season since at least 1991. I don't know why the at least was there. Maybe they just didn't have accurate kicking data before that. But again, I don't know why that they would be so anti-making kicks. I feel like sometimes some of the more exciting plays in a game can be some deep field goals in some high-pressure situations, right?
For sure. I don't think teams are against it because they want those points. They want to be able to throw a kicker out there and hit a 55-yarder without blinking at it, and thinking twice. I will say I wouldn't be surprised if that number, the percentage comes down a little bit this year, just because with those high percentages, you're going to have more attempts.
Sure.
They will be throwing guys out there for more long field goals.
Do you think it balances out on going for it on fourth down though? I feel like they go for it on fourth down way more, even when it's in that 55 to 60 range.
Yeah, but if you're making points at a 70% clip. like going for it on 4th and 4, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it just doesn't make sense percentage-wise.
Sure.
Like, if you're just purely on stats, you're going to kick that kick. I've always thought now it's like a 55-yarder in the, if they want to change some of the stuff now that they changed the onside kick rules and some of those things, and they're harder to get. Why not make a 55-yarder in the under 2 minutes be worth 4 points? Because if you're down by 4, you could go tie a ball game then.
All right. Now, I was all in on your side until that.
Why not?
No.
But why not? Why not elevate the kicker position to be a weapon?
Because then it's
a game like
now
that?
You're turning into the NBA with a 4-point line. All right, why? I understand
I'm all for it.
that there is moments where you want them to be bigger, but can we not make it a gimmick? This is golden at bat rule. Okay, anytime you want to bring a guy in to hit, whenever you can do it. No, the points have been 3. The points should stay 3 forever. Just like the goalposts are 18 point whatever feet, and they should stay at 18 point whatever feet. Why are we... I feel like they are just trying to say that every year we're talking about something impactful, right? The NFL can never just stay constant, and this so happens to now they're going after your kicking brethren.
Yeah, why in the world was it why is it 6 points for a touchdown? Why in the world is it that? Why don't you just get a point for a point for a touchdown, and you get a point for a field goal? Just do it point by point.
Oh my gosh!
Then we're like the world's greatest game, and we're playing soccer, and then everybody in the world would be watching.
You should be able to hit the kicker at any point after the kick. Just level them. You should be able to just demolish them. You know what? You should be able to not hit anyone below the leg or below the knee unless it's the kicker and you're trying to tear their ACL.
Jeez.
That's what.
Now we're going there.
That's the gimmick. It's the same thing though.
Changing the point structure wouldn't be gimmicky. That would actually make sense. What are these arbitrary numbers?
Well, then why would
6 points for a touchdown, but it's only 1 point for the longer kick now after, and then it's randomly 3 points. That's so goofy.
Listen,
just make it 2 for a touchdown, 1 for a field goal, and then go from there.
This is why the America will never adopt the metric system. All right, it's what we do. This is our game. We made the game. We didn't make it by ones like they did in soccer.
It's like the Nate Bargatze stuff whenever he's in the boat, and it's why are we doing this? I don't know. Yeah. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. A mile is 5,280 feet. How is that in meters? No
England
clue.
did it this way. They scored points in soccer 1 point at a time, so we're going to make football 6 points.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
We also have kicking involved, but it's going to be worth 3, not just 1, because we don't want to be anything like that European soccer
Could you
stuff.
imagine that the NFL just gets rid of the extra point eventually, right?
I'm surprised that it's still there.
They throw 7 points on the board every time you score a touchdown and just say to hell with it from there. Yeah. I mean, why would that not be something they try to discuss? They made it harder, right? I mean, it's the same thing. It's the 33-yarders, and those get missed every once in a while. Extra points have gone down. That's not in this argument. They don't have extra
points in the UFL, right? You have to go for 2, don't you?
Yeah, there's different increments.
Different
it's
lines.
5,
That's
10.
7-on-7 style.
Yeah, I think it's 5, 10, 15, 1, 2, 3.
Would you be in for that?
No. Let the game just stay how the game is. No one is complaining, wow, my kicker makes too many points. No one is complaining.
Numbers. Just go for the touchdown. You don't kick an extra point. It's just 6 points. That way it can have more drama at the end of games where you're trying to get into field goal range to tie or win games versus it's this weird 4-point, difference all the time.
I'm going to clip this and I'm going to clip it and I'm going to post it out and say Mason Crosby is trying to kill the kicking position right there. That's what it's going to say. That's what it's going to say at this point.
No, I think it wouldn't kill it. I think it actually adds it. I do think that moving the extra point back actually added value to the kicking job.
Yes.
But I also think if you change that where it's now kickers have even more opportunity late in the game because you're not going to have as many weird, 4-point, 5-point games or things like that where it's even. And all of a sudden now you're down 3 way more often than not that you have to go and you have to kick a field goal to tie it. That's where you make your money. You don't make it on extra points. You make it on tying or winning ball games late in games.
Right.
And that's why, again, I want it to be worth more points if you kick a 55-yarder inside 2 minutes.
If you were to, now you're talking. Now, here's an idea, though. it's like 60 or more. No, 60 or more could be worth 4. If you're on the other side of the field and you're kicking the ball, that's the line, right? There's a 4-point line in kicking is a better idea than, this time. Like, why would a team?
Because a team could just stall out and say, like, hey, we want to tie this game. We need 4 points. Kick a 61 yarder.
And what would the strategy be on the other side, right? Where guys are always calling timeouts after the 2-minute warning, right? Well, maybe you'd have to do it before the 2-minute warning if the point total is meaning that, right? No, that's just totally.
They'll never give kickers that much power. And Molly just texted me. She said, "Never get rid of the extra points."
Yes.
What did she say?
Let's see. Ride or die, right there.
She goes, only one Bears-Packer game has been decided by a missed extra point. Interesting.
Wow. I mean,
I hope I wasn't involved, though.
Mason's like, I don't remember. So.
Yeah, Molly's like, Mason, thanks for ruining our lives.
Yes.
Gosh. If you had only been one kick better, you would have maybe played.
One kick. Yeah. And if it was worth 4 points, you'd be,
my gosh, think how many points I would have.
Ooh, yeah. That's what it should be.
I could have had a 4-point play. You just call it. This is my 4-point play. You get one a game.
Dude, the golden kick rule. The golden kick.
He's got the golden kicker.
I have my thought of you has gone down just a little bit, bit through this conversation.
It's more tongue in cheek. Like, I know that stuff's never going to happen, but again, and honestly, just merely on the premise that they wouldn't give kickers that much power and attention. It's like, go out there, do your job, take your paycheck, and move on, and we'll try to change rules to make it harder for you every year. We'll give you a new ball. Next year, the ball's gonna be square that you have to kick. It's like they're going to just figure out some weird thing that doesn't make any sense.
There's different point values based on the shape of the ball.
The shape of the ball.
However many sides it has, that's how many points you can get. So the hexagon ball will be worth 6.
Oh my gosh, you're going to be kicking a triangle ball for the 3 points? Unbelievable.
I mean, just that's how stupid this sounds. Like, no, I'm not in on this. Just leave. Don't touch kicking. No one is clamoring for kicking.
We just got to the actual bottom of this. Relax. You like the NFL. Everyone feels like they have to change something every year, or try to have a little different nuance to some part of the game, and they can't figure anything out on offense and defense. It's like they want to get offensive ball. They want them to score all the time. But then it's like, all right, so we gotta do something, or everyone's gonna think that we're worthless. This rules committee, this competition committee. So let's just change something in the kicking game. Nobody cares about that. We'll figure it out.
It's the Mason Crosby show, the most pro kicker show on the market right now. Presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers, and kickers at that too.
Kickers everywhere. We care about kickers. They are people too. Just make sure that we don't forget that. Molly's on a rant on this one.
Real quick.
Extra point, move back was the best ever. Kickoff changes are the worst. That's what
it's just. I mean, like I said, it's your ride or die right there. No one's gonna support your leg more than Molly has over this time frame.
Exactly.
Real quick before we get out to the other side on a break here, just want to mention it. The Gilbert Arenas gambling story is insane, apparently. An illegal gambling ring involved in some the Department of Justice was who came in. It wasn't like your regular suburban cops coming in to see what was going on here.
This is real deal.
And he
did you hear this where he put it on Instagram, coming down a flight of stairs saying, "Can't hold me, baby, they can't hold me." It's like, but they can.
They literally are.
They are.
They are actually holding you right now. But some organized crime members involved or whatever in these games.
Israeli mafia?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I mean, check it off the bingo card. No one had that coming down, that organized crime gambling rings are happening, I guess, now in, former athlete poker games.
Well, feels feels like I don't know if reading the article if you got this feeling, but it feels like Gilbert Arenas will sell everyone out.
Yeah.
Like he's about to name every name possible that he can in this situation.
And we've seen, like, the prop betting now has all been a thing in Major League Baseball. The Cleveland Guardians' whole team is just like throwing. I'm sure they're like they have the most insane dice games going on in the clubhouse right now. But they just had Emmanuel Clase get caught up now, and he's being investigated for it. Luis Ortiz as well on the team now, also under investigation. And we've seen it with pro basketball too, where like there's Jonte Porter getting investigated. He got convicted actually. It's just been such a problem right now. Jamison Williams in football. I mean, it's touched all sports.
I think somebody in the soccer world just got caught up in it over in Europe as well, where they were placing bets on games or having somebody else do it. But yeah, it's fascinating.
It sounds like it is removed from that. It's definitely a different situation, right?
This is like actual like racketeering, like running like a gambling like business illegally. And then again, you do all this high level stuff, and then you're just texting the guy running it about all of the things and saying like you're not involved. It's like you're asking him about the financials from the poker game, and you're asking him direct questions about what's going on in this house. Like that's how all these things get out in the air, right? It's just like you have all these plans, you do all this stuff, you're running these things, and then it's like just some goofy thing. It's like getting caught whenever they're the serial killer that gets caught because he gets pulled over because he's got a busted taillight.
Well.
Classic.
We will see what happens in the coming days with this Gilbert Arenas story. It's bananas, and obviously something going on here in some realm of pro sports, of gambling and high stakes now. That's just been weird, and it kind of sucks. But
it's the unfulfillment that that Scotty was talking about.
Right, right. Scotty's never hit on 17, never hit once, and he's just He's just draining putts on 17 instead.
Exactly.
That's what he does. That's what he does.
Exactly.
We're going to get to Mason's extra points here on the other side of this. Mace, you ready to go for it?
I'm ready. I mean, it's going to just be a kicker PSA, I think, for
PSA.
The whole 5 minutes.
A KSA, if you will, now coming up here on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. We're live from the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Mitch Nellis on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan.
All right, stop messing with the kickers. Just leave everything as it is. That's it. That's all the extra points I have. Like, it's ridiculous. Stop changing things. They're going to have to make more tackles now. Like, just pay them more. Like, let them do less. I think that's always the mindset. It should be a
point if a kicker makes a tackle in a game.
Tommy, now we're talking, Tommy. Gosh, like, finally you're on board. Yeah, I love that conversation. It's so fascinating. And it's, just actually, we do have to applaud the kicker world with how good it has gotten over the year. Like, we take it for granted a little bit now as these kickers are going out there and just making 90% of their kicks.
Yeah,
it's been exceptional. So I hope they can continue to do that. And it's guys like Nick Novak. It's guys like Carney out there in the California area as well. John Carney.
Yep.
They have camps, the Coles kicking camps. Like Nolan, one of Nolan's buddies went to a Coles camp in Chattanooga right before the start of season. Like, they're just all over the place. I think that ramp up has really improve the quality of the kicker position going forward. And this Nolan's buddy is one of the best basketball players at his school. He's a great athlete, but he just doesn't necessarily want to, tackle and play football anymore.
Sure.
So he chose to go into the kicking world. And so I think you're seeing more of that, where you're seeing multi-sport athletes saying, like, well, I still kind of want to be involved in the world of football, but I don't want to bang my body up. I'm playing all these other sports, so maybe I'll try to kick the ball a little bit.
How far away are we from 70-yard field goal?
Probably. I'm sure you'll see one tried here in the next year or two, at least. What is it, 67 now?
66 or 5 from Tucker, right?
Tucker?
It was the walk-off.
I think someone tried one maybe a little longer.
Well, didn't Janikowski try like a 75-yard free kick or something? Yeah, is that like the only way we're going to see that? You don't think any coach is ever going to be like, let's kick it on 70 yards?
I do, but again, all those situations have to fall into place.
Right.
It's like how rare are you going to just have that spot where it's like, okay, you got stalled out. It's the last play of the game. It's going to be a 70-yard field goal. And it's just, I don't know the conditions. Everything has to fall in place for that to go. These guys are exceptional, but that's still, I can't imagine that's going to be something that's just a lot of guys can do, in that situation as well. But yeah, the Gilbert Arena stuff is crazy to me. Fun little thing is that Elizabeth, my middle daughter, was in over the last week on Tuesday in the studio. Tommy was showing her the ropes, and now she wants to be a sports broadcaster. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, got the future.
She had a couple of good ones. I sent them to you and Molly, and I was impressed. I thought that she was a fun time. Can I play like just a little quick easy one here
for
you?
Yeah, if you got them pulled up, throw it up.
Just superhuman, right?
Hello and welcome to the Elizabeth Crosby radio show. My name is Elizabeth Crosby, and this is gonna be a good one.
I
love it.
That was I had showed her the ropes, and she already knows New Audition better than Mitch Nellis does now. But speaking of, good. There he is. Mitch Nellis, how we doing today?
Whoa. Knows Audition better than I do. I was born knowing how to work Audition.
threw him in right under the bus, and he shows up.
Unbelievable.
I know. I heard him around. I needed to call him into action here. But, I showed her how to do that, and then I showed her how to create a new one, and there was probably...
Oh, my gosh, she was in there crushing it. Yeah.
10 new ones probably there. I sent you, like, the 4 best ones, and the other ones were just, like, not as, whatever. I thought those were the cutest ones. It was awesome. I thought it was great. Mitch, at the fair, how's it going down there, bud?
It is absolutely packed. It's opening day at State Fair. It is crazy here. I chose not to get the alligator just yet. That might be on the list, though. But we went straight to the, of course, Mason made me. He guilted me into getting, you did, getting the fried dough, the...
funnel cake?
Yeah, the funnel cake. And it looks absolutely amazing. We haven't dug in yet. But I mean, everybody's like the line, the car lines. If you're coming out to the fair, get here. Wait in the lines. It's worth it. There's every food. There's music. There's everybody's wearing Packers and Brewers gear. It's awesome.
That's great. That's awesome to hear. Mitch, what you got coming up on the show today people should know about, my man?
Yep, we've got Mark Baden, one of the GOATs of Milwaukee weather. He's going to come on. People don't know he's a huge sports fan, so we're going to talk a lot of Brewers with him and just get a weather forecast for the fair. Make sure that he's in charge of keeping the rain away.
You are the weatherman.
Yep, exactly. And then Peter Bukowski is going to join us around 12:20 from Locked On Packers and get that going. Tell us everything about that's going on with the Packers. We've then got Tim McCormick with the fair, and he's going to tell us about all the new food and all the new things to see. And then Jeff McCarthy is going to join us in the 1 o'clock hour. He's the Chief Marketing Officer with Bank 59. They are the title sponsor of the grandstand here. So I think they got Darius Rucker coming tonight, and they've got they're the main stage here. So beyond that, obviously we're going to talk a lot of Brewers, a lot of Packers. Mix in. It's trade deadline day, so it's nonstop action. This is one of the fun ones.
Man, you got a loaded show. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
And Mason Crosby's staying on till 2, and we're gonna hang out and just. I'm just kidding, Mason. I'm just kidding.
Oh God! Something's happening with my mic.
Oh no!
Well, Mitch, we'll talk to you soon here. Make sure you guys stay tuned for Thunder at the Fair. Have a good one. We'll talk again soon. I already got you a picture. Send as many pictures as you want, my man. All right?
You know it. You know I will. And any random jerseys, I will say there's already. I know you're a Quick Trip guy. A lot of Bucky's stuff here already.
Wow.
So we're gonna keep
why
our
you gotta
eye on
throw that at Tommy?
Don't let the
man?
takeover happen, people. We can stay strong on
Stay
Quick Trip.
strong.
We can stay strong. Mitch, we'll talk to you later. Enjoy the show, my man.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
All right, have fun, Mitch.
There he is, Mitch Thunder Nellis. Mason Crosby jumps on his own show every once in a while. We had a good time today. Hey, Mason.
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
Well,
fun.
we'll be back tomorrow. We're going to be joined by Brad Jones. That'll be an exciting one. Oneida Country Club as well on the green tomorrow. That'll be great. We'll do it all again tomorrow, Mace.
Yep. Let's have a great rest of our Thursday and let's get ready for the weekend. Friday is on the horizon.
Yeah, live from the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. It's the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers.
I was